In this video, I will show you how to perform basic queries. So I've opened the database and we can see that I have my tables, and I'm going to go in the Query tab and click on Create Query with Design View. You can double click on the table you want to add and close. You can expand the little window so you can see all the fields available, and you can add fields to your query by double clicking on them. They will appear, or you can also just drag them into the bottom table. So I've added all the fields I want to add to my query, and then you can just click on the icon to perform query, and then there's a preview of your query that will appear at the top, and you can save it. And when you close it, you can see it that it's now saved in your query. You can double click it and see what's the result of your query. So we're going to create a new one in the design view, but this time we're going to select our query, the previous query we did, instead of a table. We're going to add the fields we want. This time for this query, we're going to add a criteria to one of our fields. So we're going to add TX in the state field. So it's going to select only the Texas, the guests that are coming from Texas. And we can save that as our second query. And we're going to create a new query. But this time based on our second query, and we're going to do another selection. Once again, we double click to add the fields we want for our query. This time we're going to add a criteria for the city and only choose the guests coming from Houston. And we can run the query. Then we see that we have 3 guests that are coming from Houston. I'm going to save it as our third query. Now I want to show you a few additional tools you can use. So again, we're going to open our guest table. And here, if you click on the star, it adds all the fields in your table. So if you run query, you see that the query has selected all the fields in your table. You can also restrict the number of entries you see. So here I've pressed on 5, and you will, if you run the query, you will only see 5 entries instead of the whole thing. And you can enter a number manually to see a specific number of fields. We're going to put it back to all entries. Also, if you want to remove the preview of the query, you just go to View and click on Preview. This time, we can also run a query to see the distinct values in a table. So we click on the icon Distinct Values, and we can see the states where our guests are coming from. And I'm going to open the room table now to show you one last thing. You can sort your query. So I'm going to add the room rate. And in the sort option here, I'm going to choose either ascending or descending to sort my entries in the query. So you run the query, and the room rates are now descending in our query.